Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa we're on. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So we were discussing just briefly again, we were discussing the chapter of Tayammum, and we explained when it's permissible, when you can't use water, you are sick, or there's no availability of water, there's no, within a radius of 1.8 kilometers, your predominant thought in your mind is that there is no water here, then you can. And then the next thing we discussed, we said that Tayammum, you have to make intention, unlike wudu. If in a wudu, you wet those limbs, you went into the shower, you didn't even have intention of cleansing yourself, etc., etc. And then those limbs got wet, your do is done. You walk in the rain, somebody push you into the pool, and then obviously the limbs of wudu are wet, so your wudu is done. But tayammum, you have to have intention. That was the last thing we discussed yesterday. Why do you have to have intention? You have to have intention because firstly, the word tayammum is tayammama yatayammamu. It gives the meaning of intention. That's one. And the second thing is sand is not intrinsically a cleanser, right? Like water is a وَأَنزَلْنَا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً طَهُورًا. Water is intrinsically a cleanser. So whether, like I gave you an example, if I put some najasa in my hand here and I start washing it with water, whether I have intention or not, that thing is still going to come clean because that is its intrinsic quality. So that's why whether you have intention or wudu or not, it will still clean. Then, but sand, it does not have that quality. So the only way it can become a cleanser is you must have the intention, right? So the right. So then you must have intention that I'm making tayammum now, right? So there, the next ibarat there, we stop this. Summa idha nawat taharata, read from there, inshallah. Start from there. Okay, see. So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So now when you're making tayammum, these are very important masail. These are very, we need to listen carefully. ثم إذا نوى الطهارة, if a person is making yeah, the other things we explained here, I forgot you. The important is that the tayammum, it is two strikes. You will strike your hand on the ground and then you cover your arms entirely, like I will rule, nothing of the left out, and your face entirely. It's not just like a massage, like where you do 1/3 of your head, or like the massage of the horse, where you just have to, treat administration and the fire when you're making wudu, not one here must be left out, same thing in tayammum. So now we discussed this, that it is necessary to make intention for tayammum. Now they give making are we on now? Okay. on Taharat, or you can make intention, Ya Allah, I'm making tayammum, huh? My mic is on here. Can you guys hear? That's right. So you can make intention that, Ya Allah, istibaha, I'm doing this, so it is correct for me, it's permissible for me to make salah. So you're not making intention for taharat. You are making intention that I want to read salah with this. I want to read salah for this. So with this. So why is this permissible? Because when are you allowed to read salah? You're only allowed to read salah when you've got taharat. So it is like you can say indirect intention. It is like a indirect intention. So when you say you are making intention for to say that salah becomes permissible for you, obviously salah only becomes permissible for you when you what? When you are pure. So it is an indirect intention to say that you want to obtain purity with this, right? So أجزأه, it will suffice him, right? So ولا يشترط نية التيمم للحدث أو الجنابة. What I say in the next ibarat here is that remember we discussed earlier that your tayammum will suffice for hadath akbar and will suffice for hadath asghar. Remember, so if you just broke your wudu, or maybe you need a faraz ghusl, you had relationships, whatever, so you don't have to say, Ya Allah, this tayammum is to remove hadith asghar. Ya Allah, this tayammum is to remove hadith akbar. A general intention, Ya Allah, I'm making tayammum so that I can be pure. That will be sufficient. Are you with me? ولا اشترط نية التيمم للحدث أو النية والصحيح من المذهب, and this is the correct from the madhab, right? So is that clear? Okay, the next ibarat. Before we do the next ibadat, there's just a little preamble. You see, in Shariat, ibadat is of two types. Ibadat maqsuda and ibadat ghair maqsuda. Lukman, you done anything in your work? Can you tell us ibadat maqsuda and what is ibadat ghair maqsuda? I can't. Okay, ibadat maqsuda means this in itself is just send us a message, inshallah, to say you can hear us. So I was telling you about ibadat maqsuda is an ibadat in itself. It is not a means. It is not a means for another ibadat. You guys can hear, can you just send us a message you can hear? So a simple example to understand this. Ibadat maqsuda is your salat. It is an ibadat in itself. But ibadat ghair maqsuda, that thing is not an ibadat, but it became a ibadat because it is a means to ibadat. A simple example to understand this here. Take your salah and take walking towards salah and making wudu. So walking towards a masjid, it's a good thing. For every step you take, you'll get reward. But is that an ibadat in itself? To somebody go say, okay, I'm going to walk to the masjid and I'll come back and walk to the masjid and come back. I got 2 hours, I got 3 hours. So I'm going to walk to the masjid, I'm going to come back. I'm going to walk to the masjid, I'm going to come back. I'm going to walk to the masjid, I'm going to come back all day. You don't do that because it is a means to something else. It is a means to something else. Or you say, look here, to make wudu is reward, isn't it? So I got 30 minutes, I'm going to make 30 wudu quickly now here. That it is done purely because it's a means to something else. Sorry, ibadat ghair maqsuda. And the ibadat maqsuda is what? Is the which in it is ibadat itself, right? So just you need to understand it before we jump into the next or we dive into the next sabak. So you understood the difference. Let's look if we can see another example of ibadat maqsuda and ghair maqsuda. When you think about it, like we got wudu, we got walking to the masjid. Okay, there, look at this here. Eating for strength so that you can read salah. If you make intention, Ya Allah, I'm eating this food so that I can get the strength, so I can perform my salah. Or I'm eating this food so that I can go for, I want to get strength. Oh, look at this here. Okay, I'm going to do a walk. Huh? Right, mashallah. Yeah, I'm sleeping early so I can wake up for salah. I'm getting fit here because I'm going for hajj. I'm going to do walking hajj. I'm going to do the walking hajj. So I'm exercising. So inshallah, you that exercise in ibadah for you. But it's not a maqsuda, it's a purpose to something else, right? Okay, read the sabak now. Let's take it from there now. So, okay, before we go further, remember we said this is linked to the previous example about your intention. Remember we said tayammum is only valid when you have an intention. And your intention means, Ya Allah, I'm taking this tayammum so that I'm pure, that's one part. Or I'm making this tayammum so that I can at least perform my salah. I will be clean so that I can perform my salah. Right, now carry on. Okay, see, فإن تيمم نصراني تيمم يتيممون يريد بالإسلام ثم أسلم لم يكن متيمما عند أبي حنيفة ومحمد رحمهم الله تعالى. A non-Muslim, now normally that's not to become a Muslim. You don't have to like fast or make wudu, but it's good, like you sometimes maybe as a non-Muslim in halatate janabat, whatever. So, but it's not a shart, it's not a condition that a person will become a Muslim. Then you must. In previous days, when they want to make a person a Muslim, I remember they told us here in PE that they should say you must clean your stomach out first. So if somebody become a Muslim, they give him a small bottle of castor oil first. So they clean his internal and his outer. The poor guy to become a Muslim and to run to the whole day to get all that out. Right? But that's not a condition for Islam. You don't have, there's no, yes, it is good. It's, in fact, I think we done this in, it's mustahab. Remember, the times when ghusl is mustahab, it comes in fiqhul muyassar also. Remember that it's mustahab, if I remember correctly. It is mustahab to make ghusl at the time of accepting Islam. But nevertheless, so if a Christian, he made tayammum, and his intention is this tayammum, he never make intention for taharat. You never make intention for the yuridu bil Islam. You intend this tayammum is so that I can become a Muslim. ثم أسلم, then he became a Muslim. لم يكن متيمما. You will not be. We will say that tayammum is not still valid, whatever. In the Abu Hanifa of Muhammad. وقال أبو يوسف هو متيمم. According to Imam Yusuf, he still is a mutayammim. Why? لأنه نوى قربة مقصودة. So here, Imam Yusuf said he is mutayammim because he intended an ibadat. To accept Islam is probably the biggest ibadat you can do, right? It is. So I told you, it is not a means to ibadat, but it is a ibadat. لأنه نوى قربة مقصودة, right? So this is what Imam Yusuf said. بخلاف التيمم, yeah, لدخول المسجد ومس المصحف. Yeah, these are examples of It is saying contrary to tayammum to enter the masjid or to touch a musaf. So somebody, he qualified to make tayammum. The water was not there or he was sick. They said, I'm making intention now. I'm making tayammum, but because I want to enter the masjid or I want to read Quran, so I'm making tayammum so I can touch the Quran. So here they're saying, بخلاف لآية his tayammum will not be valid. Why? لأنه ليس بقربة مقصودة. Touching the Quran is not ibadah in itself. Nobody says, yes, you get the reward when you touch the Quran, inshallah. But nobody says, now I got 20 minutes here, right? So I'm going to touch this Quran here for 20 minutes. I'm going to touch the Quran. I'm going to touch the Quran. I'm going to read the Quran. Nobody does. It's not ibadah. Yes, it is touching the Quran is a ibadah because it's a means to another ibadah, and it is reciting the ibadah, right? Then same thing like this. Entering the masjid is not an ibadah on its own. It's a means to ibadah because it takes you to the masjid so you can read your faraz namaz or something. Again, like this example, say, oh, I got 10 minutes here. I'm going to go into the masjid, out to the masjid, go because it's a good thing to go. Isn't it a good thing to go to the masjid? Yeah, it's a good thing to go to the masjid. I'm going to go in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. It's not a ibadah, the maqsuda. So that's why we're saying you must intend taharat or you must intend a ibadah maqsuda, a ibadah that is matlub in itself. That means another ibadah. So that's why we say there, entering the masjid or just to touch the Quran, etc. That's not ibadah maqsuda. Now, that was now Imam Yusuf's opinion. So he said, all for Islam, you are mutayammim, but if you do for to enter in the masjid, etc., your tayammum will not be valid, right? Right. ولهما أن التراب ما جعل طهورا إلا في حال إرادة قربة مقصودة ولا يصح بدون الطهارة. Yeah, here. So yeah, Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Yusuf, they got two extra conditions. Listen nicely. They don't say just ibadat maqsuda. They say two things. You must either intend taharat or you must intend such a ibadat, which is a ibadat maqsuda, and it is such a ibadat that is not correct without having wudu. So they got the additional condition. See there. See, look there. Walahuma, Imam Hanifa and Imam Muhammad. So they are called tarafain. See there. Walahuma, يعني Imam. أن التراب said ما جعل طهورا. It is not a cleanser, right? إلا في حالة, except when you remember it intrinsically like water, it doesn't cleanse you. Intrinsically like water, it doesn't cleanse you. But yes, at the time of need, when the conditions are found, then it will become a cleanser with the intention. We already established it. And now it's discussing what the intention must have. When you في حال إرادة قربة مقصود, first is must be a قربة مقصود. I explain what قربة مقصود is about itself. It doesn't mean so ibadat. Then second, لا تصح بدون such an ibadat which is not correct without wudu. Because when you intend such an ibadat, it's not correct. That means you are intending taharat. You understand what I'm saying? If the ibadat requires a wudu or it requires taharat, when you say I'm making tayammum for this ibadat, then obviously this ibadat does require wudu. So that means you are making intention for taharat, you are making intention for wudu. Are you with me? But if you say I'm making tayammum just to touch the Quran, that is not a ibadat maqsuda. So that tayammum will not be valid. You understand what I'm saying? Now look here. Wal Islamu qurbatun maqsudatun yasihu biduniha. Accepting Islam, yes, it is a ibadat maqsuda, the greatest ibadat, right? But yasihu biduniha. It is correct without taharat. You can become a Muslim. It's only mustahab to have taharat, or it's mustahab to make a ghusl, etc. So this is an ibadat that can be done without taharat. So we said it must be ibadat that can be done with taharat. If it's done without, it can be done without taharat, your tayammum is not correct. Are you with me? Are you following that? See there, بخلاف سجدة التلاوة لأنه قربة مخصوصة لا تصح بدون الطهارة. And this is contrary, in other words, not being valid, is contrary to sajda tilawat. In other words, it will be valid لأنها قربة مخصوصة, because it is a قربة مخصوصة لا تصح بدون الطهارة, and also it's not valid without taharat. That means if you made intention that I'm making tayammum here so that I can make sajda sahu, that the intention will be valid, right? So وإن توضأ لا يريد الإسلام ثم أسلم فهو متوضع خلافا للشافعي بناء على اشتراط النية. If a person made wudu, come separate masla, right? لا يريد به الإسلام, and he's not intending Islam. He's just like a Christian, whatever he made wudu, right? ثم أسلم, then he accepts Islam. فهو متوضئ. He will have wudu. Why? According to the Hanafi madhab, quite simple. That water is a cleanser, whether you have intention or not, right? It's right. So saying then he accepts Islam. For mutawaddin, we said that wudu which he made in before Islam is valid. خلافا للشافعي, contrary Imam Shafi, بناء على اشتراط النية, because Imam Shafi, remember, he said for wudu you must have niyat, and this is a non-Muslim, his niyat is not valid. Right? You understood that? Okay, so that the time is up there. We will switch over to the tafsir with the same link, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the basic bottom line, the basic lesson there is what? That you have to have the niyat of taharat, or you have a niyat of ibadat maqtuda, as such a ibadat maqsuda which is not correct without wudu. In fact, the fiqhul muyassar, you got to explain very, very nicely there. Remember, it's nicely categorized and everything. But anyway, this is the synopsis. You either make intention, Ya Allah, I'm making tayammum so that I be pure, like taharat is taharat, right? And intention don't have to be verbal also. Intention is the mind, even for your salat. But sometimes the ulama say like you can make a verbal intention just so that it's easy for you, or maybe sometimes to teach the children, uridu salat, khalfa hadha imam. But technically speaking, you don't have to. Intention is something in the mind. So in your mind, you say, I'm making tayammum now so that I be pure, I can do my bad. Or if you say, I'm making tayammum now so that I can do my salat, whatever, the ibadat, which is the ibadat maqsuda, and it is not correct without wudu. So we'll stop there. We shall continue with this on Tuesday. Monday is the holiday, inshallah. Tomorrow is still classes, right? So it's tafsir. We got tafsir now, we got tafsir on Saturday, inshallah. My